here we are at Red River Motorcycle Trails again. This was Wednesday, June 3rd, 2020. And it was starting to get pretty warm. This ride that this video is on was at, I think it was about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And at that time it was about 92 degrees, which was, you saw on the little graphic. It's 34 degrees for all of you Celsius fans out there. So not super hot yet, but it's starting to get there. I think the rest of this week it's supposed to be in the mid to upper 90s, approaching 100. So starting to get to be the time of the year where we'll have to get out there really early, ride for 4 or 5 hours, and then head home before it starts really getting hot. This trail here, I've done several videos on it probably already. I always call this the backyard trail, mostly because it goes behind Rebecca's house, behind her backyard. It meets up to the Noble Trail with a couple of different areas that have been newly marked. The guys who have been marking trails with the red triangles marked a new section. I'm not really sure what they're calling that. I just call it the Backyard Triangle Trail. What I had done before was kind of utilize some of the more of the side-by-side roads, and this now, adding in what they've added, keeps it into a lot more single trail, which is a good thing. Really cool that several people out there now are stringing some of this single track together. A lot of it is just local knowledge, and but like I said, the guys, I think their last name is Otis. It's a father and son who've been marking some of the things with the red triangles. That combined with some of the existing trails that we've done ends up getting you quite a bit of single track. Almost, I think, in my opinion, maybe better than Bill's Woods. But you do have to, it's not directional, and you do have to cross wide roads and side-by-side trails. Coming right up here, we didn't do it today because I was trying to keep the flow going, but you could go to the left up at the top of that hill, and then you end up over here, which you see on the left that I just kind of looked towards. That's Tennyson's Creek, so you could ride through that as well, which adds another level of difficulty. I didn't do it this time just because the idea was to kind of keep a flow going the entire time. In fact, the video is 24 minutes, and I think we stopped maybe twice to rest for about 15 to 20, maybe 30 seconds each time. Oh, this is cool up here. Right up here, you see a squirrel jump on a tree and a hawk or something fly by him. I thought that was kind of cool. It's kind of cool, right here, yeah, there goes the squirrel and there goes the hawk. It may have been after that squirrel, huh? I guess it's a squirrel hawk. Kind of cool that people have been stringing together a lot of the trails. You know, Greg Decker and Donnie Jenkins, I think it may be a year or two ago now, they went out and cleared a bunch of stuff called the Red Trail. Then, of course, Gary and I were always marking. Actually, we don't mark it. We just cut it and ride it and wear it in. And I know people like Cole Reynolds, Jake James, Randall Dean Trent, Noble Hatch, all them, they're always out. Again, not necessarily marking it, but burning it in so it's easy to find. So it's kind of pretty cool. We've made some pretty good little trails through there. Really not sure. We're coming up on a section here just up to the left that's relatively newly marked by the guys with the red triangles, and it's all pretty good stuff in here. I think some of this is actually new. Some, of course, is existing. I know right here, some sometimes people would have trouble riding here. And obviously, I'm not just rolling right through it. So this trail, I don't know that it really has a name. I always just call it the Backyard Triangle Trail, because it kind of takes some of the wider roads out of the equation to get you back on more single track. Tell I'm breathing heavy now. This trail, little hill here can be kind of difficult when it's kind of muddy out. Not so much when it's dry. The dirt was pretty good. It was starting to get a little bit dry, but I have the Shinko 505 cheater with the NewTek soft mousse in there, and my tire only has, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 more rides on it, so it's pretty worn out. It did really well in these slightly drier conditions. With the slightly muddier, it tends to, I don't know, doesn't get real good traction in that. It does great whenever it's, you know, got most of the lugs still on it, but as the lugs start getting worn down, it's not quite as good whenever it starts getting a little bit wet. But it was really good on this stuff. I didn't have too much trouble. Also started using the Dunlop MX-33 on the front. I really like that tire. This trail used to end up right there. It would go straight, and it would just kind of stop at Rebecca's Highway. So a few weeks ago, Gary and Andy, and I think Dave and maybe James kind of added this on to it. This is probably the most difficult section, or I guess dangerous section. I've seen 2 or 3 people go over the bars there. That's why I stopped here to make sure Chad didn't go over the bars. And I guess when I say they made it, I don't know if I'm sure some of this hasn't been ridden before, but it's mostly just kind of stringing it together. That's the great place about Red River. It's kind of free riding, and you can kind of make just about any kind of trail that you want. You've got plenty of options. I know a lot of people, you know, you post something on Facebook, and a lot of people, not necessarily something that I would post, but Red River or whoever would post it, and people would be complaining about the side-by-sides. But honestly, I don't really have that much trouble with it. I think this is where we took one of our first breaks. I was gonna say I don't really have too much trouble with it. I mean, yeah, sure, it ruts things up and it kind of jacks up the trails, but most of the time it just makes them more interesting, I guess. If you want to look at it from a positive point of view. If you want to look at it from a negative point of view, it's all fucked up. But I don't complain about it too much. I know that side-by-sides are a lot of the reason that some of the parks can stay open. So I would rather share it with side-by-sides than not have them. And out here at Red River, there's so many options. I suppose that a lot of the people who don't particularly like it probably just don't know the area as well and don't know how to get onto the single track. Either that or they've ridden it so long and trails that they used to love are now gone, which I guess I can get that too. Anyway, I'll be quiet about the side-by-sides already. Also recently did the Slavin's Idle mod on my bike. I've got a 2019 TE 300i, and it was always kind of lean on the bottom. The bike ran great, but there was just certain times, usually going over like a climb or a big rock or something like that, that the bike would die on me when I would get to the top, and now it doesn't do that. So basically all I did was just, I put the idle screw in, which allowed me to bring the idle up a little bit, which really wasn't all that much important, but then what that allowed me to do was adjust the air screw in, so I could richen it up a little bit. So I'm not sure if it, to me it sounds different, I'm not sure if it sounds different to anybody else, but right here we're just making our way back over to the Noble Trail. I come up to a section right up around, I think it's this next corner or two, where it's kind of muddy, and I kind of tried to jump it and end up hitting a root sticking out the side of the hill. Right there. Yeah. That was not fun. That root's a dick. Like a tree dick. And of course it's right in the mud, so as I took off it was just slinging mud everywhere, and I was like, oh great. My bike's been relatively clean up until this point. But I guess I'll take the mud, because I know the dirt's always better whenever it's kind of muddy out there. So I'll sacrifice a clean bike for better dirt. Funny thing is I come around the corner up here, and I was checking to make sure Chad was behind me, so I went to look behind me and almost ran into a tree. It's right in here somewhere. Yeah, right there.
That's what I get for trying to look behind me.
I saw you look back and you're like, oh!
Breathing heavy there, not because of oh shit moment, but just because this is wearing our asses out. Normally we'd go straight there, go down that hill, and then back up. Over the last few months, that hill has been getting a lot of exposed roots on it, so it's become more difficult. With the dirt the way it is right now, and I don't think Chad or I either would have had trouble with it, but I opted not to go up it just in case, just because I wanted to keep the pace going. And what we're on now is the Noble Trail, what we always call the Noble Trail. I'm not sure if anybody's calling it anything different or not. Chad over there to the left. I didn't know he wasn't behind me up until right about here. Stopped and waited on him. So this wasn't really a rest break, but I think it took him about maybe 15 seconds to get caught back up to me. Which kind of sucks for the guy behind, because usually the person riding in the back gets the least amount of rest. You'd think that they would get the same, but usually what happens, people in front stop, then they wait on the guy who's who's riding cleanup, and as soon as he gets there, they all take off. So everybody else has had, however long to rest, and then the guy who's batting cleanup is just sitting there going, well, shit, I guess I didn't get a breather, did I? So it sucks to be in the back. So what I was talking about earlier, the idle screw adjustment, is I now know when it's my failure of my clutching ability versus when it's just the bike dying because of a low idle or being too lean. Which is, this is only the second ride I did after I did that mod, so I'm still kind of working on it, but I can already see a big improvement. I can already tell. It makes sense to me now when the bike dies now. I feel like, yeah, I definitely didn't get my clutching fast enough or far enough when it dies on me now, where before I was never really sure about that. So that should theoretically allow me to work on that a little bit more. Theoretically. Like I said, it was 92 degrees. We really were trying to push the pace, and I wasn't really too tired after this run. I know I get to the end and I ask Chad if he's had enough, or I think I tell him I've had enough. So we decided to head on back to camp, but I wasn't too tired later that day, but boy, the next morning I woke up, I thought, oh yeah, I had a pretty good workout. I think overall throughout the day we only rode like 25 miles. Like I said, the first part of the day was somewhat easier trails, just because we were showing, we met a new guy out there. Oh yeah, going back to that idle screw, that's a spot right there where the bike would have died before. And so now I know that it was the bike losing its momentum that was causing it to die versus me not getting the clutch in time. So I think I'm pretty excited about that. There again, you can tell I was looking behind me and I end up kind of going off trail again. I need to learn how to know if somebody's behind me without having to turn my head, I guess. Maybe that's what they make mirrors for. So the other day I watched Megan Griffiths, or AKA Meg's Rap, posted a video of 3 or 4 minutes of riding some really cool single track up in Canada. I'm not sure what area that was, but man, she's getting fast. That was so awesome. It's like, man, I'd like to get up there and ride some of that stuff. Just like I know she'd like to get back down here and start riding some of this again. So if you're watching this, Megan, get on down. Well, not yet. It's going to get hot now, so maybe wait until the fall. There's one section coming up once we turn off of the connector trail and go on to what they were calling Joshua's Loop. The Red Triangle guys were calling Joshua's Loop. There's a nice lush green spot that we ride through that kind of, obviously it's not like the big pines and all that like, you know, up in Canada, but for North Texas it's pretty lush. Normally back there in that creek we would go left, and that's where that waterfall is. But like I said, the last time I did that waterfall, I got stuck in about 3 foot of quicksand. It was getting pretty fun there for a while. It was getting pretty deep. As the water rushed over, it was kind of digging out the bottom. So while the entire waterfall may have been like 5 feet, something like that, for a while, about like 2 or 3 foot of it was underwater. So that was always kind of fun riding through that because it was kind of an adrenaline rush. You weren't exactly sure how deep it was going to be. Had a little bit of a pucker factor to it. I think this section of this is what I call the connector trail, I think. I'm not sure if I said that yet or not, but I've always called this connector trail. And it used to go up right up. It used to go and come in right up and around in here somewhere. And what was cool about that is you had to go over these rock outcroppings to get up to it. But a while back, I don't know, first person I rode or saw ride through this was Jake and Cole. Yeah, this is where it used to come through. But it adds probably doubles the length of it. So I just kind of skipped those rocks. Those rocks are fun, but this kind of doubles the length of the trail. And you'll see it'll come up here. I think the Red Triangle guys, I think their last name may be Otis, I believe. But I believe it's a father and a son. But I think they put a sign up on here that's called the Ski Jump Trail because of a big rock that you jump off. Kind of coming up, I think it's up at the top of this hill here. Yeah, right here. I guess this is why they call it the Ski Jump Trail. Which is fun to go up the other way, by the way. You got to be ready for it. So come right here, I go to the left, and this is the Joshua's Loop, which I think I did a video of that. I'm not sure if I posted it on YouTube or if I just did it on Facebook. But so this is relatively new. some of the trail's been here, but it's all been strung together, and there's obviously been some new trail cut as well. Right here's kind of loose. I always kind of had trouble right there. This is the part I was talking about earlier where it gets nice and kind of green and lush. At least this time of year anyway. Here in a few weeks, if it doesn't keep raining, this will be pretty brown. We've had pretty decent rain this year. The trails really haven't gotten too dry yet. It doesn't take long out here though. Especially when it starts getting into the upper 90s and then you have a good southerly wind on top of that. It dries out pretty quick. Kind of struggled on that part. Starting to get tired now. Which I think towards the end of the video you'll see how tired I am. I come around a corner and I'm not sure if I kicked it into neutral or what, but I just kind of fell over. I think that was another one of our little breaks. The second break, I guess. You can see coming right up here, I just fall over. I'm not really sure what happened. I think it kicked into neutral, then I was trying to balance it while I put it back in gear and just kind of fell over. Just kind of, I'm not sure exactly why I stopped where I did, because we're literally like maybe 5 or 6 turns from the end of the trail, or where we were kind of thinking about stopping anyway. But sometimes out here you kind of lose track of where you are. Down to about the last minute. I think what we're going to do here is come up a couple more turns. We join back up to the connector trail, and then or ski jump trail, I think that's what the red triangle guys are calling it, and turn right and head towards the red trail. And so that's it. I can tell you it was a pretty good little workout. I won't say 24 minutes completely straight, but long enough. Great day.
Well, I think I've had enough.
Yeah, I have.
You?
Good.